Okay, we are testing on the Sony a7 IV and we are on the Sigma 85mm F1.4 art lens. So this can stop down to 1.4 aperture, which is really great. As you can see here, there's a super blurry background, and also this is supposed to be really good in low light, so we're going to test this in low light. So this was the same test that I did with the Sony a7C as well as the Canon. So I just want to add in a quick note here. You can see on my eyes, it's pretty focused, but you can even see in my hair in the top left corner there, that's out of focus. And the differences between where my eyes are and where my hair is back there, there is a difference between, it being in focus and out of focus, which is crazy awesome. SL2 on the kit lenses and also with the 50 millimeter prime lenses at f1.8. So this will be with the 85. So this will be similar to that SL2, which was when it's cropped in, it is roughly 80 millimeters. So I have to move back a little bit because the focus range here doesn't go too close. So if I come up close here, it has a hard time focusing. So as you can see, it takes a little bit of a while to focus, but yeah, still does a pretty decent job. As you can see here, I'm fairly close to the camera, so minimum focus distance is right here, so it's not very close. So this definitely wouldn't work as a macro camera, but let's see low light. Echo, turn off desk light.
Okay.
So you can see that with that off, I currently have it on 1/30th of a second shutter speed and f1.4. The ISO is on auto, so it should be auto exposing from my face, and moving back and forth here, it looks like roughly around 4,000 to 3,200. So this is what that picture would look like when this really tough dynamic. There's a light back here, I can actually turn that off. Echo, turn off office light.
Okay.
Okay, so this is pitch black. So what you're seeing now is literally the screen on the Sony a7 IV that's lighting my face. So right now it's at ISO 51,200. Is that right? Yeah, 51,200. So as you can see, it lost me because when it's in these low light situations, if it doesn't have focus of you, then it's not gonna find you. Echo, turn on desk light.
Okay.
Okay, so we're back here and we have the light in front of me here shining on my face, so it's much easier to expose. So right now we're at 640.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
So, so yeah, we're at 640 ISO, and then all the settings are the same as well. So yeah, you can really get some nice low light in these conditions, or with this particular lens. So it stops it stops 2 stops below, so you get an f6 or f1.6 and f1.4. The other thing for this particular lens is you can actually, there's a manual aperture, so it makes a super satisfying clicking noises. I'll do that here so you can hear it. And what's cool is I can actually see the actuation of the lens opening and closing. Let's see if we can see it. The overall quality of the lens is really, really nice. I think probably one of the better lenses that I've seen. Typically in the Sigma art series is where you see the quality from Sigma actually really, really high. And autofocus, still very quick. And the other thing is that the motor on it is super quiet too, so that's something that's really nice. In addition to that, the lens is pretty heavy, so that's one thing to note. It's just a prime, so you don't have to zoom or anything like that, so you won't have any issues with that, but this definitely weighs more than the Sony a7 IV body, so could be somewhat of an issue, but I think it's definitely good for portraits, and you don't get too big of a focal range for this, so it's definitely not good for like outdoor photography or something like that, and there's not really a very low minimum focus rate or focus distance, so yeah, that's one thing to note with this, is that if you're looking to do a little bit more macro things, it's not super good with that. It's more, I think, catered for people who plan on doing portraits and different things like that. But yeah, overall, low light is really good on this camera, and autofocus is really good. So honestly, I can't really complain about this. It comes with, what do you call this, a lens hood. So this is something that's really nice that it comes with, and it's nice, and it's got a rubber feel to it as well, so it's pretty big, so it'll do a pretty good job of blocking out some of the lens flare that you'll get from this. And then you can screw it back onto the actual lens too, which makes it look a little bit interesting. Now we're on the 17 to 28 Tamron lens, so we get a much wider view here. So I just wanted to give you a look at this product here. So this may look a little bit weird because it has the lens hood on it. So if you just click this button here, it'll allow you to turn it out, and then you can take this off here, and then within here you can see, so you have a button here to click in to allow you to turn the aperture. Oh, it's so good. I'll put this closer so you can hear it. So satisfying. There's also a customizable button here, which is nice. So here you can just switch this on and off. I don't really use this, but you can have it change, like, I don't know, like manual to autofocus if you didn't have this button here. But you do have this, which is really nice. So you can turn the autofocus on or off, and then finally you can turn the clicking off. If you don't like the satisfying clicking noise, you can turn that off and turn the aperture blades, or aperture, wider, or I guess you would call it more open or faster or slower. So yeah, you can turn the aperture higher or lower just by turning that button, and then you can turn the click on or off, so if you want to hear it or if you don't want to hear it. So that's something that's really nice. But yeah, just talking about the overall feel, the overall glass that's in here. There's a ton of glass in this one. That's why it makes it a bit more heavy than you would typically see. Let me click this back on. And there's auto as well. So this goes from a 1.4 to a 16 focus ring here. Nice and easy, nice and quiet. There's definitely a lot of some weight to it, so it's not super easy to turn it if you like that. And I think a lot of people who like higher end things or like putting money into glass, that's something that they particularly like. And then this is also weather sealed as well, so you can see on the flip side of here there is a rubber weather sealing around here. So weather, I guess you would call it water and dust proof. So yeah, and then this was the lens the lens hood that I mentioned. So you could put it on and it clips in, and then there's this button here to clip it out. And the nice thing about this is that it can go onto the lens when you're not using it and you want it to not be as big, because you can see how this versus this here would be a little bit of a space difference. So you probably don't want to store it that way. Plus it'll probably be kind of difficult to take on and off the lens if that's something that you want to do, but also just something that's nice. You can take it on and off with the lens hood on, and then you can store it for safekeeping, because I guess you should use the lens hoods if you have them, because you might as well, right? But again, with this lens hood on, you don't really have access to any of these buttons here, so you might as well just maintain or change everything on the actual camera. Let's move on to some of the stills. I took some pictures in, if you want to call it, nature. There's a lake by the house and there's ducks and geese that hang around there. I got some really nice close-ups, even with an 85mm, which isn't super close, but is pretty close if you're shooting a person that's being still. But yeah, I couldn't really get too close to the ducks or the geese, but they were up in my face. And what I did here was I zoomed in a bit with the 33 megapixel camera of the Sony a7 IV. Got some really nice close-ups, and this lens is super sharp. So yeah, I really can't say more about this, and for a lens that's roughly $1,000 compared to the native lenses like the G Masters, honestly, like, go with this lens. This lens is really, really good. If you're looking for the quality and not wanting to pay that much for it, or pay a lot less, I'm sort of waiting still for that Tamron 35 to 150, which is still back ordered. So I'm hoping to see and do some comparisons to see if I'm missing out on the faster lenses. But yeah, overall, I have to say the quality that you get out of this is super good, and you can buy these used or on eBay or what have you for a huge discount. This one I bought for 970 bucks, but I think on B&H or something like that, this thing is more like $1,300, but again, much less than the equivalent G Master lens. So yeah, I can't say enough about the Art series. I think this is really, really quality glass, and yeah, not if you're like, I don't think you can tell a difference, and I also don't think you can tell a difference in quality. I think the quality is really, really on par with the native glass, especially when you talk about the autofocus motors and you talk about the sharpness of the picture as well. But again, thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I will see you in the next video.